Well, hello, patriots and freedom fighters across Saskatchewan, throughout the country, and around the world. Especially an enormous shout out to our American patriots. Shit is happening. I was actually scheduled to go on at 8 o'clock tonight because I had some stuff I needed to get ready, and big news has dropped. Um, I just got flooded with a whole bunch of stuff that's going on, so bear with me. Um, I'm trying to temper my excitement. But when I saw a couple of things that I just saw, it literally brought me to tears. So brace yourself if you haven't heard yet. I'm going to take a breath. So there's some things happening. And I'm going to start with a few of these things, and I'm going to end in this little segment with the biggie. So I'll put it up here for you guys so you can see. So we knew, hang on a sec. So we knew that link was broken. We knew that Merkel was going to resign, but now her successor is saying that it's not going to happen. He's not going to take the position, which in and of itself, okay, neither here nor there. But coupled with the news that, hang on, I'll put it up there for you. Oh, come on. Where are you? There we are. The news that the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte's cabinet is considering collectively resigning over a report that blamed the government for mismanagement of childcare subsidies. All right. So, whatever the reason, um, when it's wrapped up with other things that are happening, that's what makes it important. So, the Dutch cabinet is considering resigning over corruption. Again, in and of itself, maybe not huge news, but then we have Estonia's prime minister resigning. Let me just turn that off. Jüri Ratas resigns as Estonian's prime minister. Head of the Center Party on Wednesday made allegations of corruption. All right, so that's interesting. So are we starting to see a pattern here a little bit? And then we have the Italian. Where are you? There you are. And we have finally in this little Italy government on the verge of collapse as Renzi party quits. A lot of things happening, but, and you're going to love this one if you haven't seen it yet. I just got the notification. I had to go live because this is huge. Where are you? There it is. Okay, so it's on Twitter. And breaking, the president will have all declassified Obamagate files released to the American public as early as tomorrow. And that's from George Papadopoulos, who works on the Trump team. It's going down. This to me, and I'm trying to remain as level-headed as possible, but this tells me some big things are going down. I it I've been saying for a long time, there's too many things. Too many things are happening. Too many things are going on. I just said to my wife here today, because we go through these ups and downs through this whole thing. And I start to lose hope. It doesn't make sense to me. None of this makes sense to me because of everything that we know leading up to the election, everything leading up after the election to this point. It doesn't make sense that Trump doesn't do something. It didn't make sense. And I kept asking Yannicka, do you think he's going to go out like a lamb or out like a lion? Or is he going to go out at all? This right here from George Papadopoulos tells me he's not going out like a lamb. It's phenomenal. Like, this is big. This is big. This is a shot over the bow that means big things. It's huge. And yeah, well, that's just it, Mark. And I'm going to get into that. Mark Burr says he's not going out. I'm going to get into that because, and of course, what I was going to talk about tonight leads in actually to what I was, from what happened now, just immediately, to what I was going to talk about tonight. And that's why I named the stream, Don't Bet the Farm. And I'm still saying don't bet the farm one way or the other, how this is going to go. But, I was going to probably be in here on a 60-40 that it's looking to me, with everything considered, we're probably at about a 60-40 on the negative side. But after seeing this, this tells me this is one enormous flag going up that it's not over. There's so many different indicators along the way that's, that tells me something more has to come. This isn't over. It can't be over. There's no way Trump is going to let these sleeping dogs lie. He can't. And I said that a while ago. I think it was my last stream. And welcome back, YouTube, by the way. I'm on YouTube now, too. But I said a couple of streams ago that if Trump, and it was just to consider, right? But all of these things that we've been told about election fraud and corruption and all of these things, if it wasn't true, or if it was true, and we believe that it is, and we've seen the evidence, a lot of us have seen the evidence, not all of it, of course, but if those things are all true, then Trump has a duty. He took an oath to protect and defend the United States of America against foreign or domestic attacks. He has a duty. He's under oath. If he doesn't live up to that, he could be charged with treason. So he has to act. He has to do something, in my view. Now, of course, that's all tempered with how corrupt and how deep the swamp is. But for this to come out, the president will have all declassified Obamagate files released to the American public as early as tomorrow. For them to say that, man, that's big. That's big. And that's not to say that it's game over. I think most of us probably thought that it's a no-brainer. You're going to declassify this information. And there's a lot more to declassify. And part of that declassification, and this is another reason why I'm so excited, could very well include Trudeau. And I'm going to be watching very closely to see if he's another leader or a party that says, you know what, we got to get out of Dodge. you know, let's let's not jump to conclusions, but we can sure hope, can't we? Hello over there at D Live. Let me just pull up the chat screen there so I can see what's going on there. So I don't want to, you get excited and you get, pumped up with all of this stuff. So I don't want to get too crazy and too ahead of myself, but things are definitely looking like it's going in the right direction. And I couldn't wait. I was going to go on to 8, but I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to share that with you folks. It's huge. It really is. And that tells me there's a lot more to come. The declassification, can it be also this magic virus stuff? Well, I just also saw that Kian Bexty just announced that Kenny is lifting social gatherings and lifting restrictions at a weird time. This is when everything's going haywire, and all of a sudden he makes that announcement. So something's happening. Something's going on. So, man. Hey, Roger. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, so this is my first stream back on YouTube for my 14-day bad boy timeout. I'm sitting on 2 strikes, so the next one I'm gone. So make sure that you guys on YouTube, make sure you go to D Live. Go sign up to D Live, my D Live account, and sign up to my Rumble account. Those are 2. Rumble is going towards live streaming. They just haven't released it yet, but it's supposed to be in the very near future. And that's where I'll end up probably doing my live streams. Now I'm suggesting Rumble because we're watching a purge right now on D Live. Raging Humanist got purged. Owen Benjamin got purged. There's a number of accounts that have been wiped out there. And I imagine it's in response to threats being made that they're covering their ass. So they're just taking off anybody that could even remotely be whatever. So make sure that you sign up to my D Live Grizzly Patriot, onto my Rumble Grizzly Patriot. I'm also on brand new Tube Grizzly Patriot. I'm also on Odyssey or Library, and I'm also on YouTube. I'm on all of these things for videos. So I just wanted to make that clear to everyone on YouTube. Now Facebook, I'm still banned. I got another 2 weeks to go there, and I can't go live streaming on Facebook for 90 days was the suspension. So you won't see me live on Facebook other than my buddy's account that I'm using for live streaming over at Canada First. So if you are on Facebook or you're on YouTube or any of these others, and you want to be able to see my live streams on Facebook, Canada First is the profile that you can add yourself as a friend and join that way. Getting updates. Somebody said something here about Russia. Hang on. Just announced some parts of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. D-class. No sleep tonight, guys. Yeah. So, and this is it. Somebody, great point. I am digital soldier. Fantastic point. No history, no communist purge. So when we're talking about history and we're talking about the communist agenda and we're talking about, what they do, this is what they do. We're watching it in real time. But this is what we talked about a little bit a couple of days ago, but I want to talk about tonight. I had planned to talk about tonight is people really need to have historical context when thinking about what's going to happen, what's capable of happening, what's even possible. And everything's on the table. We can't just cast off the possibilities because they sound crazy. Look at history. History is full, chock full of crazy. Why would we be any different? I know our lives have been relatively quiet and, in the grand scheme of things, and maybe society's a little bit spoiled and, can't comprehend what could happen. But things happen all the time, especially that things that nobody sees. And if they don't see it, they don't believe it. But people have to think in terms of history and put some historical context on the situation that we are in. And I say we as part of Western civilization, specifically the United States of America, but we are attached at the hip, as is most of Western civilization. Big things need to happen. Big things should happen. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to happen, but I would be far more shocked if Trump didn't use everything at his disposal to save the Republic of the United States. If this man takes the action that he should be taking and is duty bound to take, he will go down in history as the president who saved America. And we're living in it right now. If he does what he should do, if he does what he's capable of doing, we're living in one of the most momentous occasions in history. And again, that's not to say he's going to. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody sits in the office where they're making these plans in the cave or in the underground facility or wherever it is they are. Nobody's there. Nobody knows. Now we get all of these drops of information from all these different sources and a lot of credible sources, a lot of credible people with an enormous background, credible background of intelligence and military service and all of these connections. And this isn't Q. This isn't necessarily Q. This is just people that have connections. So you have to consider all of these things if they make sense, right? That's where critical thought comes in. So you have to use your critical thought that, yeah, you know what they're saying, I'm not going to cast off what they're saying because what they're saying makes sense with what's happening. I'm just looking at the chat so I don't miss anything. Quantum connects all the features in the past. Nobody sits in the mind of Trump except Trump. Well, yeah, and the people that are on his side, like this attack on America, it didn't start a year ago. It didn't start when Trump was elected. It's been ongoing for decades, if not centuries. For the last decades, the swamp has been in control. The globalists have been in control. Right from George Bush Sr., every single president has been the swamp, has been a globalist. They committed to globalism. 1992, when George H. Bush made the speech about the New World Order. That was it. They told us. And they've been globalists ever since. The swamp is that deep and that big. And in order to defeat that, it would take an enormous effort for somebody to do that. And again, I'm not projecting what's going to happen by Sunday or by the 20th or tomorrow, because we don't know. But with all of the context and all of the information that we have that's verified, that we know and understand, I can't imagine. I'd be, like I said, I'd be far more shocked if Trump did nothing and went and walked out as a lamb. I just don't believe that he can do that. I don't believe that he would do that. If he does, then he's strung us all along for the 4 years that he's been around. And I can't see it. I can't see it. So when I see all of these other things happening in the world, I mean, it's telling me that it's coming. Something big is coming. It's all gonna be put out there. And we can hope. I just want to check something here because I want to show a bit of a video. But I just got to close some things down here. Because my download speed, I don't know if some of you were probably with me in one of my previous streams, and everything was super slow. It still looks a little bit slow, but I've got a new modem, and my download speed is like over 300 megabytes per second. So I don't have any download issues, but I think I may have processing issues. So we'll see. We'll see if we can make it work here. Give me one sec. Hang on, guys. Bear with me. I'm getting there. Okay, looks like I had like 120 tabs open, 3 different windows. Did you catch Lynn Wood's interview on Politically Incorrect Radio today? No, not today. I didn't. I listened to his interview, Fireside Chat, yesterday, but DLive actually has a new button at the top to... Oh, yeah, okay, Real, thanks. Very good to know. Somebody asked, what is the Trump-Obama announcement? Trying to find it. I just closed that tab. Hang on. George Papadopoulos released on Twitter that all these declassified files from Obamagate will be released to the American public. And that was from George Papadopoulos. Breaking. Ukraine docs have been declassified. Tomorrow morning, all will be revealed. Oh, God, I'm getting goosebumps again. It's so beautiful. Lionel, thanks for that update, my friend. Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, where did that go now? Hang on, you guys. I lost one of my links I was going to share with you. How's that possible? Hang on. Hang on, I got to check something. I can't see the bottom of my other monitor. Yeah, I don't know. Give me a sec. I'll find it. Just take me a second. And hopefully it'll work. If not, then it's my processor. So it's a little bit, I think it's about, let's see, 10 to 20 minutes long, but it's really important to consider this information. So one of the people that I pay attention to get information outside the mainstream, even outside of conservative stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. So, you know, people listen to Simon Parkes, and he seems to come to the table with quite a bit of credibility. There's some interesting things in his background that make you wonder. So I'm not completely sold there. Robert David Steele is another one who's got a pretty decent track record and pretty impressive background in intelligence, military intelligence, and CIA, and so he's got some pedigree. And then you have Charlie Ward. Charlie, I've sort of stayed away from because I don't know. I just think based on everything that I think I know or I'm trying to understand, I think it's a little bit out there. It goes a little bit far on some things. So I'm not a big follower. But the three of them were together the other night. So, you know, I put an ear to ground with those fellas for sure. Lin Wood, of course, I watch what he does. I'm still not sure. Lin, again, you know, he sounds legit. Sounds genuine. He sounds like, you know, God-fearing man and just wants to tell the truth. So you have to consider what he has to say and you know, figure out for yourself. But one of the channels I've watched for quite a long time, at least a year, maybe longer, is Bards of War with Scott I can never remember how to say his last name. Kendrickson? I don't know, something like that. Anyways, he's pretty good. Kesterson, thank you very much. Kesterson. I like him because he's very calm. He's very measured, very reasoned. And I mean, some of the things that he talks about is, I mean, it's out there. Of course, it's out there. It's not in the mainstream. But he comes well researched, and he comes very calm, and he's not making claims he can't verify. But he does add theory, because we all have to add theory, because none of us are sitting in the room where these decisions are being made, where these plans are being hatched, where these strategies are being developed. None of us, nobody's are in these rooms. So we have to, based on our experience, based on their experience, based on, you know, what they bring to the table, we all have to theorize. We all have to consider what could be going on. Again, based on the experience that some of these individuals have. And Kesterson has, you know, he's got some cred. He's a veteran. And so I watch him fairly frequently. And I like him. I like how he thinks, and I like how he presents this. But I wanted to show you guys this part of this video, because it's important to consider where we're at and what could possibly be happening. And so I'm going to share that with you guys. Hopefully it'll work. Again, you know, my download speed, upload speed is great, but I think I might be having processor issues. So I've closed a lot of stuff down. Hopefully it'll help. And maybe I'll just close this whole thing, bring it up after. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Yeah, that's what I'll do. There, we'll see if that helps. All right, I'm just going to read some comments, see if I'm missing anything. Amazing Polly's awesome. Great research. Yeah, she's great. Amazing Polly's awesome. She does good work. Lynn is the bomb. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love his. Who doesn't love his? Well, I guess they used to be parlays. He's not scared to put the word out. That's for goddamn sure. Yeah, and it is a spiritual battle. There's no question about it. It's a spiritual battle. It's an information war and it's a spiritual war. Anyways, so I'm going to show that to you now, and I just found it really interesting. So I'm going to let Scott take it over for a little bit. And while he's doing that, I'll see what else I can find out because things are happening very quickly. Anyways, check it out, and then we can talk about it after.
We verified it in some other places, but the letter lack a date. So that's Marine. I don't find that an insignificant point. And now that Chad has resigned from DHS, and that's Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, when he just resigned from there, the FEMA director, transition of power certified by Congress, the U.S. military will obey lawful orders from civil, respect them and all. And I'm going to say that it's not a fake letter, the best we can tell, though there is a strange anomaly on the letter that deviates from protocol. And I verified this with a sergeant major, and we verified it in some other places, but the letter lacks a date. So that's strange, and I don't know why they did that, because typically they're supposed to date these. But at the same time,
okay, so it looks like I can run the audio, and I'm just going to do that. So check it out. I'll make it louder. Yeah, no problem.
this letter was emailed out across the Mill.network, network, and it was also mailed out. We've seen screenshots of that, and it was also put out on like Navy Times had it, and it was, of course, when it first came out, it hit and it went all to all the rag media locations. So I don't think we can call this a fake document. And there is one particular person I know personally on this letter that I think highly of, and I consider him a patriot. So I'm not going to say that I couldn't imagine this person These are all generals and we want to respect them and all that. We've seen so much treachery these days. It's hard to know who to trust and who to believe, but I'm going to tell you that one person on here I know personally that is a patriot. The other person I want to bring special attention to is General Raymond. And interestingly, that when this letter came out, we're going to read it here in a second, his Twitter account got suspended because he was shaking hands with President Trump. So this all starts to paint a very different picture than what people were taking it as. And the reaction initially is because of the words down here. When we get to it, it talks about what's going to happen on the 20th, and people are losing their minds. So let me walk through it. I'm going to read it, and then we're going to dig into some stuff here, okay? And it reads, "The American people have trusted the armed forces of the United States to protect them and our Constitution for almost 250 years. We have done, as we have done throughout our history, the U.S. military will obey lawful orders from civilian leadership, support civil authorities to protect lives and property, ensure public safety in accordance with the law, and remain fully committed to protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." So very important words right at the beginning, okay? And it does highlight the fact foreign and domestic. And the other key piece here is a couple pieces here are civil authorities, which we'll get into, and public safety, ensure public safety. Okay, we're going to come back to that. The violent riot in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021 was a direct assault on the U.S. Congress, the Capitol building, and our constitutional process. We mourn the deaths of the 2 Capitol policemen and others connected to these unprecedented events. We witnessed actions inside the Capitol building that were inconsistent with the rule of law. The rights of freedom of speech and assembly do not give anyone the right to resort to violence, sedition, and insurrection. Powerful words, by the way, patriots. As service members, we must embody the values and ideals of the nation. We support and defend the Constitution. Any act to disrupt the constitutional process is not only against our traditions, values, and oath, it is against the law. On January 20th, 2021, in accordance with the Constitution, confirmed by the states and the courts and certified by Congress, President-elect Biden will be inaugurated and will become our 46th Commander-in-Chief. To our men and women deployed and at home, safeguarding our country, stay ready, keep your eyes on the horizon, and remain focused on the mission. We honor your continued service in defense of every American. Now, patriots, this letter has been read and has triggered a bunch of people, and I mean, it's gone crazy, but we need to take a look at what it's really saying here, okay? First of all, I think it's a huge leap of an incorrect leap to suggest at this point that this letter was fake. I actually think it's a wrong leap to suggest that there is some sort of malfeasance with this letter, because you have to understand the military very clearly. One of the unique things about our military, one of the things we pride ourselves in, is military does not get involved in politics. It also doesn't get involved in domestic law enforcement. Okay, these are critical. At this point in time, the military is taking a position, and this letter is, in my opinion, is a letter to the force and equally a letter to the world, letting the world know that we are not going to be divided by this transition, that according to the military and where they sit right now, that there is a transition of power that's going to happen on the 20th, which even President Trump acknowledged today, and that they were not going to intercede in that sort of disruption, which the rest of the world would love us to do, and the left would love everybody to see us do so they could fan the flames of revolution. Okay? I also want to point out that there is this rally on the 16th with supposed to be with militias, armed militias, and then it's followed by this Antifa counter rally, which sounds to me like total false flag nonsense. So I'm highly encouraging, if you're involved in that, stand down. Straight up stand down. This is not the time.
Everybody needs to take a breath right now because we are in a crazy week and it's going to get crazier by the day. I guarantee it. And you're going to see why in a minute. And people do not need to react to what is going to happen. We are in a process right now in this country, a true process of experiencing a having a near-death experience of our nation. It is an essential part of the awakening. And I'm convinced of this and I'm standing by this.
Me too.
And what this is if we don't stand up as a nation and awaken and realize what it would be and truly feel it, we will never remember it. And it has to be remembered not just by patriots, but by the whole nation. Every single day we go farther down this path, we see more and more people jumping over to this side saying, oh my goodness. Now, there's no reason to be sad right now. This letter is simply, in my opinion, it's a position statement by the military to reaffirm to the world that our primary duty, that our soldiers will stay ready, they will keep their eyes on the horizon, and they will remain focused on the mission. And that mission is the defense of every American. These are key words. Okay, that is the military's primary mission. All right, next, which is important on here. You'll notice that they talked about we witnessed the actions inside the Capitol building. And you notice how they refer to that as those people resorting to violence, sedition, and insurrection. They didn't call out anybody by name. They didn't do the media thing and try to blame it on MAGA when it's not, okay? And President Trump, if you listen to his speech today, reinforced the point that MAGA's role in this country was a role of loving and unity. He stated that clearly today. Important. And President Trump also stated twice today, I want no violence. No violence. That is a command directive to us at this point in time, which is absolutely essential that it's held to. Our commander-in-chief has given us a directive. All right? So everybody just take a breath. We got a lot of craziness going on today. Okay. As service members, and it goes on, we must embody the values and ideals of the nation, okay? But here's the key. Any act to disrupt the constitutional process is not only against our traditions, values, and oath, it is against the law. So the media immediately reads this letter as expected, because then what the media always does, they start saying this is an unprecedented letter. I think it was Vox today that put this out, or one of those rags. This is an unprecedented letter. This is the military speaking to the rest of the force. The commanders telling the army that they should not, or telling the military they should not try to take on a revolution. That's essentially what they were saying. Okay. It can be read that way. But you also need to read this very clearly. It does not specify anywhere in here who the person would be that they would consider as resorting to violence, sedition, and insurrection. They also don't identify who that person would be or group that would work against the tradition, values, and oath and against the law. All right? So there's a lot of agitation. There's a lot of flowing here of this letter. This letter is positioning the military to be out of what is a domestic fight at this point in time, positioning them to do the primary mission, which is defend from enemies, foreign and domestic. Remember, this is a strategic strike against the United States. That is a military position. And if those strategic assets are on the ground, that falls into a very special category of mission, which does not fall into the main body force. Be very clear what I just said. It does not fall within the capacity of the main body force. If there is an enemy on domestic soil that is operating to undo something like an election, that's going to fall into special capacities, something called Title 50, and that falls under the president's direction of national state of emergency. It's a different line of funding, it's a different level of authorities, and it's given to special operations units. This letter is to the main body force, and it's basically telling everybody to stay calm and stand back and be clear. Now, that's a critical statement, all right? Stay calm. Now, I'm going to go back on something and show you something. This is amazing. Right now, we currently have FEMA on the ground in D.C., and it's an anomaly because FEMA is essentially in charge right in D.C., which makes no sense in itself because FEMA, we think, is for natural disaster, except FEMA is a little bit more than that. Back on March 13th, 2020, President Trump declared a nationwide emergency pursuant of Section 501B of the Stafford Act, to avoid governors needing to request individual emergency declarations. All 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 5 territories have been approved for major disaster declarations to assist with additional needs identified under the nationwide emergency declaration for COVID-19. Additionally, 32 tribes are working directly with FEMA under the emergency declaration. Patriots, this is extremely important to understand this. FEMA is one of the most powerful organizations in the country. As a matter of fact, FEMA is more powerful than the Constitution, okay? I don't know if people realize this, but the FEMA's original design was put together so that they could bypass the Constitution of the United States. That was the intent. The idea was that if they implemented some sort of a crazy event like we're going through right now, or they did a limited nuclear war, FEMA would be mobilized. And what FEMA does it divides the country up into 10 regions that are laid out here. All right, these 10 regions are assigned a manager that oversee these 10 regions. Now, on March 13th, 2020, President Trump activated FEMA under the nationwide emergency pursuant to 501B. My theory, that it's got a lot of traction here, and I want you to hear it. I don't believe that we have been under presidential control since then. FEMA's role is to work as a provisional government. And as a provisional government, the sorts of things that FEMA can do would stun you. So listen to this. Some people have referred to FEMA as the secret government of the United States. It is not an elected body. It does not involve itself in public disclosures, and it even has a quasi-secret budget in the billions of dollars. This government organization has more power than the President of the United States or the Congress. It has the power to suspend laws, move entire populations, arrest and detain citizens without warrant, and hold them without trial. It can seize property, food supplies, transportation systems, and can suspend the Constitution. Not only is it the most powerful entity in the United States, but it was not even created under constitutional law by the Congress. This is crazy how powerful this is. And yet, President Trump invoked this. Why would you do something like that? Think about this a minute. Now, why would you do something like this? By the way, FEMA is managed now by a former Marine. I don't find that an insignificant point. And now that Chad has resigned from DHS, and that's Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, when he just resigned from there, the FEMA director is now double tapping and filling the role temporarily of the director of FEMA. This is a very interesting situation here. So the FEMA director is filling the role of the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA at the same time. If FEMA has been in a provisional government status, which according to these disaster declarations, FEMA would have had most of the control over the United States. FEMA would have had arrest authority. FEMA is not obliged or required to use the military. It can hire its own, any services it needs, it can hire, including groups like Blackwater if it needed that. It could set up its own courts. It could detain people. It could arrest people. You see where I'm going with this? Right before our very eyes has been an operation going on under the cover of COVID-19. And it's FEMA. So what's the proof? Because there has to be substance. Throwing this out there like this is literally like just throwing spitballs on the wall. So let me ask you, it's more of an indirect proof, but I want to ask you some key questions and I want you to think about this. What has happened to Hollywood? Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, was confirmed on the 7th of January. I would like to know where Meryl Streep is. I'd like to know where Tom Hanks is. I'd like to know where Tom Cruise is. I'd like to know where any of the actors that were screaming, Madonna, Cher, I could go on an endless list. Where are they, and why are they not celebrating the fact that Sleepy Joe was confirmed? There wasn't one peep, not one. By the way, while we're talking about people that are strangely quiet, what about Gretchen the Witch up in Michigan, the governor? Where is she? Let's add another one to the list. How about Kate Brown? Where's her celebration? And what about Inslee from Washington? Where's his celebration? And what about Gavin Newsom, his celebration? All verbal. You see, all these people are quiet. So the question is not, so the first thing is who's not talking. You always have to look that way. And these people are quiet. And yet we also have discovered that our court system is completely corrupt. We all know that. And we know that what we have just witnessed is the exposing of our court system and how corrupt it is. That's through the fantastic work of amazing teams of diggers and researchers led by the indomitable Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood. We have seen everything that has gone on. We have seen them file motions. We've seen it kicked out. So how could you process how could you process crime and deal with the court rulings? And how could you have tribunals if you didn't have martial law? How could you do all that? Because we haven't had martial law. We haven't had the Insurrection Act. Matter of fact, President Trump has not signed it. And we always hear how people advise him not to sign it. The military is not going to get involved. My argument is that is the red herring. They have been having people chase that to keep their attention away from what's really happening. I truly believe that FEMA has been the force behind this entire operation, the entire thing. And right before our very eyes, we have had an organization which is it's a second type government, okay? Basically, it's a provisional government in case of attack. That's why it was set up. So let me throw another piece in here. You know how President Trump said he's a federalist and he can't get involved in states' rights actions? There's a certain truth to that, but there was always an oddness how he would just let state governors do what they do. But if FEMA's in control, President Trump would have no control over governors. It would be the regional managers that would be controlling the governors. And all of them would report to the head of FEMA, who is a former Marine. You see? This is pretty amazing when you think about it. We have noticed how Antifa, every time, like Antifa rises in violence and then it drops, and then it rises a little bit, but not quite as high as before, and then it drops. Important cycles to watch, because that means something's happening on the back end. These people are being removed. Where are they going? Who's handling them? What's the court system that's handling them? The military can't do it because they haven't given that authority. But one group has the authority, FEMA, especially in the state of emergency, because COVID-19 was a strike on our sovereignty. We also know that they were activated and put into Cheyenne Mountain, which it reinforces the point of provisional government status. Again, this is my theory. I can't prove it outright, but it's a very important perspective to look at, because now this takes us back to Washington, D.C. Now, currently, there are up to 15,000 troops going to be deployed that the Pentagon approved to deploy in D.C. But here's the issue. They were approved by the Pentagon. FEMA has taken operational control on the ground, okay? But listen to this. Following the Goldwater-Nicholas Act of 1986, the Joint Chiefs, who just signed that letter? Joint Chiefs, keep that in mind. The Joint Chiefs of Staff do not have operational command authority, either individually or collectively, as the chain of command goes from the President to the Secretary of Defense and from the Secretary of the Regional Combatant Commanders. Okay, I'm going to read the next thing. This is important to understand this. In 2020, amid the George Floyd protests, McCarthy activated the D.C. National Guard, which included the use of aviation assets to support local and federal law enforcement efforts. The D.C. National Guard is the only National Guard unit, hear that, in the 54 states and territories that have them, which reports only to the President of the United States. We didn't know that. The DC National Guard has the Pentagon has no authority over the DC National Guard. The commanding general of the DC National Guard is subordinate solely to the President. This authority to activate the DC National Guard has been delegated by the President to the Secretary of Defense, that's Christopher Miller, and further delegated to the Secretary of the Army. During the protests, McCarthy gave the order to deploy helicopters in response to the protests, etc., etc. Okay. See, Patriots, those 15,000 troops that the Pentagon supposedly approved, which they did approve, they didn't need the mayor of D.C. to ask for them. That's a kabuki theater again. The President of the United States has the sole authority. But here's the thing. The D.C. mayor does need to reach out to FEMA if it wants support. And here's the question. Who's running the country? Because if FEMA is running the country, they would need to ask FEMA for support. And therefore, where we would be right now is that we would be having the DC National Guard that would be reporting directly to FEMA, which is pretty much what we have. This is all very important to understand because something very, very big is building. And now we go back to this letter. And you think about this letter very carefully, okay? This letter makes it gets very confusing when you start to lay over and you're saying, well, okay, well, what is this letter saying when there's 15,000 troops in D.C.? What this letter is saying is it's telling the rest of the military to stand down because the president has issued his directive with FEMA to activate his personal guard in D.C. to surround the Capitol. Are you tracking now? We are witnessing the sealing off of D.C. And whatever's about to break, Patriots, it's going to be biblical. Nancy Pelosi and Schumer both complained yesterday that the guard on the ground was making it look like a military camp. Now, the military's made it very clear, back up to here, any act to disrupt the constitutional process is not only against our traditions, values, and oath, it is against the law. Well, here's the deal. If we have evidence that's going to be coming out, I'm not telling you that Sleepy Joe is not going to sit in that chair for a little while. I'm going to be clear about this. But we're starting to see some strange actions. I personally don't think Sleepy Joe's going to make it to the chair. I think there's going to be a number of things that are going to be unraveling this week, and I think that these things are going to start proving the fact that there was action complicit that violated and tried to disrupt our constitutional process, to use the wording of this letter, which, as the letter says, is against our traditions, values, and oath. The oath is, as we go up here, the reminder to protect the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. This letter doesn't take the military out of play. This letter establishes the boundaries and its mission of what its true mission is, and to avoid the emotions and the craziness of the media, to stay focused on what your mission is, which is to protect and defend the United States and not get involved in political fights. When we talk about, and it says in here, it's against our law, or the law enforcement domestically is not something the military can do, but guess who can do it? The National Guard, because the National Guard has the authority of posse comitatus, which means that the National Guard can be deputized and they can be used as law enforcement assets. And if there is a domestic threat that must be dealt with by, say, like a foreign actor that's on the ground, the types of units that would be used for that would fall under a different category and a different authority, which is called Title 50, and they would be allowed to do certain actions only previously allowed on foreign soil. Patriots, this is an amazing play of events we're witnessing here. And this is why we have to constantly be just watching and observing right now. It is not time to, I'm going to grab my gun. None of that. I push this point all the time for many reasons. We have to center ourselves on faith. We have to center ourselves on prayer. It's essential. That's what calms and clears the head. And in this moment in time, that's the center point.
All right, so that's Scott Kesterson over at Bards of War. It's an interesting perspective, interesting theory, as he called it, and that's what it is. And it makes sense. It makes sense with what we're seeing. Does that mean that's what's going to happen? Of course not. We don't know. None of us know. We can only analyze information, evaluate information, and couple that with what we already know, and theorize. That's what we do. And there's nothing wrong with theorizing. There's nothing wrong with trying to figure out what's happening, because we all feel better when we understand something. And most of us don't, because none of us sit in the rooms with the people who are making and calling the shots. But I thought it was an interesting one. And like I said, I watch Bards of War quite frequently, and I like it. I like how he, like I said, he comes to the table with some reason, and he tells us why he thinks what he thinks. And unfortunately, I couldn't show the video where it showed that letter and it showed the FEMA policy. But very interesting with what's been happening today so far. Somebody mentioned in there that they're also going to release the classified documents regarding the Russia probe, which will also be very interesting. Again, does this lead up to something really big happening? Not necessarily. I mean, declassifying documents is pretty big in itself, but does that mean that Trump is going to sit for another 4 years? No, nobody's showing me that that's what's going to happen. Nobody is showing anybody that that's what's going to happen. We have a lot of talk out there. There's a lot of chatter from the Lynn Woods and Simon Parks. And, the other consideration that somebody mentioned the other day, Simon Parks, Robert D. Steele, and Charlie Ward are plants themselves, and that they're running this whole sort of distraction for everybody. Could be something. All of these people, up to and including General Flynn, and some of what he was saying before he went sort of quiet the last few days, are putting their credibility on the line. First and foremost, Trump. They've all put their credibility on the line. Lynn Wood, Sidney Powell, all these people, with a lot of the things that they said that they had, the evidence that they had, their credibility is on the line in an enormous way. And have they just simply been stringing us all along? I find that hard to believe. With the track record and historical context of everything. But again, we don't know. So we have to stay tuned. Have you listened to 107 on Michael Jacko channel yesterday? No, I didn't. I'm not I know who they are. I'm not there. I'm not at that point. I've listened to him. Jacko's interesting, Navy SEAL. But I watched one of his videos a few days ago, talking about JFK Jr. coming back. And, I don't know, but it doesn't seem reasonable to me. But again, these days, who knows? Crazy is all around us. So is it that crazy? I'm not throwing that out of the equation yet either, but it's one of those things that sort of pull me back and point me to somebody else. You know what I mean? But again, that's just me. Rob Rourke. Jeffrey Epstein for vice president. Why not? He was Trump's best friend. Yeah, I know, Rob, that you're not a big Trump guy and you've sort of put all your eggs in that basket. So harder for you to swallow some of this stuff based on the position that you're in. And I get it. And we talked about that tonight, actually, with me and my wife when we were out for dinner. There's some things about Trump that I don't like. And one of the things is the whole vaccine thing. The other thing is what's Fauci doing anywhere near his administration running this whole scamdemic. So those were flags that went up that I didn't like, and I still can't figure out why they were there, other than the swamp is incredibly deep and dark, and it is what it is. So those things concern me, and they still do. So those are things that get me thinking sort of in the way Rob is thinking. And that has to be on the table too, because I'm telling you, as I mentioned before, with everything that we know leading up to right from day one till this very day, everything Trump has said, and he's done a lot of good things, so I'm not going to cast that out. But in regards to all of this stuff, this D-class, this information, I can't imagine Trump not taking some form of action to save the Republic and to save the Constitution of America. I can't wrap my head around Trump committing treason, because that's exactly what it would be if he doesn't defend the United States and its Constitution against attack, foreign or domestic. He has a duty and responsibility and an oath that he took. So I don't know, but it sure looks like it's heating up. I haven't been able to get over to Twitter to see what else has been going on, but if you guys see something, definitely give us an update. Rob says, well, me go on record. Pray you guys are right. Believe me. Hey, I don't know if I'm right. So it's just things that we have to consider because none of us really know. And we have to be open to all eventualities. And Soul Crusher says he isn't going to do anything. He's going to go hand over the office to Biden. Yeah, I've said that numerous times the last number of days that I've uttered the words. It's over. It's finished. But I go like this all day long because I'm open to consider other possibilities. And given the circumstances, hey, everything's on the table to consider as far as I look at it. Jessica says Trump is part of the play. It's the Hegelian dialectic technique. Go read about it. I've read it. I've read all about it. You have to be naive to think that he's going to save anyone, and you don't forget about Operation Warp Speed. And don't forget about Operation Warp Speed. Yeah, and so what you've done, Jessica, is now you've put yourself firmly in a camp, and that's okay. That's based on the information that you take in. Remember, there is bias. We all have bias. So you can't just, without, I want to see your proof. I want to see your evidence that says for sure that's going to happen. You don't have it. And I don't have it either, whatever angle I'm talking about. So that's why I'm saying we have to stay somewhat open to potential outcomes and what's really going on. And this is what the politicians, the deep state, the swamp, the globalists, this is what they don't want us doing. They want us to follow the mainstream narrative like most of the sheep do, and so they can do what they want to do behind the scenes. So what we're doing is necessary. And of course there's nothing we can do actively other than have these discussions and open people's mind up to what could happen. But there are a lot of people that are naive that think nothing is happening, that think this is just, run of the mill, ho hum, here we go, because they listen strictly to mainstream media. And that's kind of what's gotten in the shit that we're in. He'll never take the words. Where did that go? He'll never take the words that he has to others. Trump, you're fired. He will never take the words that he has. Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll see. But my gut tells me something's coming down. It obviously is with D-class of a bunch of stuff. Yeah, so that's good. All kinds of information out there from D-class today. Some people already have it separated and organized. I was sent a huge amount today, separated and sorted. Yeah, awesome. You're right, Cameron. This is way bigger than Trump. Are you kidding? This is enormous point in our history. This is an enormous point in Western civilization. Critical time in history. And what a time to be part of it. What a time to be engaged and in it. It's amazing. Let's see. Rob, I haven't had a good sleep in almost 10 months because I know what's coming. So yes, I would be the biggest cheerleader if Trump turns out to be on our side. Hey man, I'm with you. I have the same anxiety. I'm just a little bit in a different direction. And some of me is hope too, right? I mean, yeah, I have to have hope. Like I've gone a couple of times in the last week or so into I can't call it deep depression, but definitely the blues, thinking what's coming in our direction. But I still think more is to come. Because it has to. Because it absolutely has to. And should. And if it doesn't, we're in big shit. We're in enormous shit. Has anyone here saw the video of the PCR test with nanotech? Don't get tested. Yeah. That's another thing I want to get into here in a little bit. Communism has infiltrated every country in the world. It sure has. We are witnessing a coup. I think we've already witnessed the attempted coup by the Democrats. I truly believe that that's what it was, through election fraud and all the other things that we know about. I'm not convinced they're successful yet. Got to maintain faith, hope, and love. This is key in humanity. Yeah, especially when we're in a fight, we're in a war. You got to keep morale up, right? And that's not to say that you do that by lying to people or by bullshitting anyone, but you take what you got and carry on. Fascism is here. Yes, it is. It's too big to be over. Where did that go? It's too big to be over soon. Sylvia Jones MPP slipped and really told the truth. You'll face persecution in Ontario. I haven't heard that one yet. Peter Griffin. I need to toke. This shit is stressful. Yeah. Well, it is. And, my stress level has been up here for probably 2 weeks. And about here since the election. And just a little bit under that before the election. Just think where we'd be if had Hillary won. Yeah, well, I got a pretty good idea, and it wouldn't be good. Yes, and war with China, that is also a consideration. Absolutely. This is all related to China, all of it. This is an attack by China, and that war has already started. Information, propaganda, infiltration, all that stuff. It was started a long time ago. Chinese aren't dumb. Please don't say that name, Mark. Hillary's pure evil. Yeah, she is. But again, she's just a puppet, right? It's just like JT. He's a puppet. January 20th coming in 6 days. Everyone will find out what the truth is. Well, that's what we're hoping, Wilfred. And it looks like we're heading in that direction. Yeah, it's nice to be back, Sherry. It's been a while. It feels like a lot longer than 2 weeks, to be honest. But I mean, so much has happened in that 2 weeks that I've not been able to be on YouTube to talk about. Of course, we're over on DLive and Twitter, but yeah, it's nice to be back. That's for sure. And how is DLive going on? I got to read some of DLive. What's happening over there? We got 90 viewers. Was that last time I looked? 88. So that's pretty good. And we're sitting at 282 over here. If anybody watched Lieutenant Thomas McInerney video on YouTube, yeah, I've watched it. Sebastian Gorka calls him insane. Now that's, Gorka is just another talking head. So whatever, take it for what it's worth. But yeah, McInerney's got lots of interesting things to say, and he is a retired general, so some credibility there. But again, Raging got suspended from DLive. Yes, I saw that. And he's not alone. There's a lot of others that got purged out of DLive, at least suspended. My guess is that DLive is just trying to keep their head, from getting chopped off. So I think it was just like one fell swoop, show that you've done something, and then after the smoke clears, all these guys will be back and doing what they do. That's the way I look at it. I don't know, but I don't know anything about DLive. I don't know who runs it. I don't know who created it. I know nothing about it. I just know that's where people go after they get kicked from YouTube. So that's where I went. But I'm really hoping that Rumble is going to be good, given that it's Bongino. And they just need a live stream option. And that's probably where I'll do a lot of my stuff. Something to replace, because I got all these other platforms, but it's hard to keep track. I don't upload everything to all these platforms, or that's all I'd be doing all day long. So got to find a real good one to upload. And the problem with DLive is my videos only stick around for 3 days because I'm not a partner yet. I'm waiting for that approval or affiliate and then to a partner, because then I can start, storing and uploading videos to DLive as well. So that's the downside to DLive. And of course they're, purging everybody. So that's a problem. Rumble's in a fight. I haven't heard that yet, but I'm not surprised. China is doing 5 fronts presently. Yeah, I think China's in a lot of shit, to be honest with you. Their economy is fake. I think they're biting off more than they could chew. Canada Police on Rumble. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, very good. Mo 6977 says, I pop in and out of these things to hear what the tinfoil hats are saying to get a sense. Crap. Yeah. You're one of those people that follows the mainstream and don't think outside a box. You're a useful idiot, and that's okay. If that's how you want to be, then do it. Don't think outside the box. Stay in your lane and eat the mainstream narrative like mother's milk. It's all good. carry on. What you call reality has been created for you. So all good. Somebody said I smell ass. Yeah, me too. Once you control human perception, you control human behavior 100%. And that's what the media has done. They've been masterful at it. You know, news media, Hollywood, music is a huge influencer. All these things corrupt the mind, corrupt the soul. And they've been masterful at it. They've done a hell of a job, but we're waking up to it. So CCP put in a lot of hurt. I'm following Amy Sever on Telegram. I haven't heard that name before. Yes, journalism is dead. I talked to Dan Dix today. We did an interview for the summit, the upcoming summit that's coming. And we had to get that one done and in the can. But we had a good discussion about the media today. And yeah, journalism is dead, but it's opened up a huge opportunity for independence, right? It's a huge opportunity for guys like Dan. And we got to fill that hole. We are the media, and we have to be the media. A huge opportunity. We're not the only ones. We're just quicker at it. We just get it and understand quicker than most others. But they're going to get it too. They're going to get tired of being told the same old, especially when there are consequences to what's going on. And people are going to wake up and they're going to start trying to find information from other sources. And hopefully we are it, because Dan is over at BitChute. He still has a presence on YouTube. I don't think he does a whole lot there. I think he's pretty careful what he puts up on YouTube. But he's over at BitChute for sure. Library as well, I think, if I remember right. But yeah, if you can find him, go over there and support him. He's one of the good ones. And he's one of the pioneers. He's been doing this for a long time, 15 years, I think he said. I read the press progress bullshit about you. And yes, those fucking Jagovs can all go to hell. Yeah. As I said, I'm looking at suing them actually for that, because that's twice. The first one was during the election campaign, and they ran a hit piece. They sure like me. And then they wrote this recent one, which was basically a copy and paste from the first one. They just added the whole new title and a couple of the little tidbits that they created. But yeah, so I'm exploring the opportunity of suing them for defamation, because what they claimed is categorically false, and they have no proof because it doesn't exist. The headline, for those that don't know, was anti-mask. Oh, no, actually, they referred it as a freedom. Yeah, because this was a different way to spin it. So they actually referred it to discredit the freedom rallies. Freedom rally organizer is a racist and conspiracy theorist. That was the headline. And I mean, they can call me whatever they want. It doesn't bother me personally. But when they write that, and then people in Saskatoon share it as fact, it has a negative consequence, not only to me personally, but of course, my reputation, and also my business. And so there's damages, enormous damages, and consequences to that sort of hit piece or defamation. And they need to be held responsible, and not like they care, because they're funded. My guess is they're funded through Anti-Hate Network, which is, of course, funded by you, the taxpayer in Canada. So my guess is they're not terribly scared of a lawsuit. They're not terribly scared of paying, because their job is bigger than that. they'll continue to exist. It doesn't how much they have to pay in damages. They'll continue doing what they're doing, and supported by ultimately your tax dollars. But they have to be held accountable. And we have to show the rest of the masses that, this shit's not on. So it is what it is. Yeah, I sue them to pay you wrong think tickets. Well, nobody's going to have to pay for those because they're not worth the paper they're written on. And in regards to that, one of our Patriots protesters here in Saskatoon was scheduled to go to court on the 14th, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. But it got rescheduled to the beginning of March. So, which I find interesting. Yeah, I heard that. Guess who's back, G? 131 likes versus 0. Odessa was getting a lot of dislikes last night. I heard that. Yeah, is what it is. Anyways, so there's some other good developments that are going on that I'd like to talk about a little bit tonight. And I'll just bring that up. I'll just bring it up through my website. So for those of you who don't know, I have a website that supports the organization that I sort of run and founded, the Forum for Canadian Sovereignty, hence this logo right here. But I have a website, of course, that supports that organization and what we do. And I created a new page that is called COVID-84. And I'd wanted to do this for quite a long time, but I didn't have time. I didn't have the time I needed to include all of the information that I wanted to include in it. And I didn't want to do it piece by piece. So I kind of, it's been nagging at me for a while to get it done. And then I was in a meeting last week with some patriots from across across the country, and one of them had told me they were putting together an information pack that they're going to hand to people and give to people on thumb drives and so on. So I thought this would be really good, based on the information. I'd have to see it, and I saw it, and it is really good. So I put it on the website and created this new tab or page on the website. And so before I get into that first bit, I'm going to talk about this package. So you guys can go look at it yourself. I'm not going to go through it all, but essentially he put together a letter that anybody can use. You can edit it and you can download it right here on my website or their website. You can download it, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff in this link here connected to this. And so this is sort of a introduction letter to the information. Again, make it your own. If you're going to send it to your MLA, by all means, change that name to yours and your contact information or whatever, or use mine. It doesn't matter. Use Mickey Mouse, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's something that you guys can use, download, and edit it to be, to fit wherever you are. And then, so I added some videos to support some of the things that are going to be talked about in this information packet. But it talks about the PCR test. And of course, that's a big part of this whole scheme. It's a big part of the hoax, as they're using the PCR at 40 or even 45, I've heard now, to achieve the numbers and to classify deaths, as COVID, and to keep us all in fear. So we're good little boys and girls, and we follow orders and directions and all that good stuff. Well, they're using the PCR to do that. and it's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. And all of these measures they're taking are based on this BS. The reliability of that test, anything over 30 is junk. It's complete nonsense. Even under that, it's still unreliable and shouldn't be used, as Carrie Mullis identifies in the video. But anyway, so I put in some other videos again to support what was said in regards to the PCR up here. Carrie Mullis, Dr. Eden, who's really good. This is a really good video on it. And then our good friend, what's his name again? Dr. Bhakti. That's another really good one. Basically explaining why the PCR is junk. And then include some COVID stats, and that was pretty good, and a couple of graphs, blah, blah, blah. And so I just added Dr. Hodkinson's statement from City Council of Edmonton. Then we got the masks, and there's a bunch of information in regarding the masks. And then I threw in a video to support that. There's, whatever. And just a bunch of miscellaneous information, legal information, and then the vaccine, which we can definitely use some more, but I'm going to add a video in that part. And then, of course, effective therapies, HCQ and ivermectin. And I included the video with this doctor testifying at a Senate hearing in regards to ivermectin. And the fact of the matter is that most people, they keep telling us that us nasty anti-maskers and ralliers are killing grandma, when in actual fact it's a genocide by our government, killing our old people by not offering them effective therapies like HCQ and ivermectin. And it should have been started at the very beginning of this flu, and should be issued to anybody who is compromised or elderly, to ensure that they remain as healthy as possible. And that has not been done. It's actually been refused and not promoted. And that's killing people. That's killing way more people than this flu is, along with all of the knock-ons of the measures they've taken, and the suicides, the drug abuse, the alcohol abuse, domestic violence, suicides, all these things. It's getting, it's way past ridiculous. Let's just say that. So anyway, we have that on the website. So anybody, just for resource, if you need it, if you're in an argument, whatever, send them over and they can have a look at this. And again, if there's more information included in the download, so there's a Google Drive that's open, so you can just go in there and grab the information that you need, put it together in a package. You could print it all off to give to people. You could download it onto thumb drives to give to people. You could, do whatever. It's all there for you. So just take advantage of it. Use what you can and get the word out and educate some people. So I just wanted to go through that real quick. It's important. It's a place where people can go. There's other websites too, whatever, but I thought we needed this on ours for sure. But another thing that came down today that I was introduced to, which I'm extremely happy to hear, is this request for expedited federal investigation into scientific fraud and public health policies, created January 10th, 2021, or maybe mailed on that day, to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, CC'd the UK Security Service, MI5, Australian Security Intelligence Organization, CSIS here in Canada. I don't know what this is. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it looks German. And the U.S. Department of Justice. So I encourage you to go through that as well. It's fairly long. It's 40 pages, as you can see, but it is really good, and it really hammers home every point that could possibly exist within this whole scamdemic. So I encourage you guys to head over there. You can download that as well, right here at the top of the page. Just download the PDF, share it far and wide, share the link, share the PDF, do whatever you have to do to get it out there. Take it to rallies, print it off, take it to rallies, take it to, get it out there, share it with as many people as possible. We have to wake up the masses. We have no choice. That's the only way we win this game. That's the only reason we protest. It isn't to change the government's mind. It isn't to, ultimately we'd love it if we could, but we can't do that until we have the masses. Then we can get the change that we need. But we have to have the masses. We have to have the people. The people have the power. The only way they get the power is through the information, and we all have to play a role in disseminating the information. So say hi to CSIS Patriots. They're probably watching. Oh, there's no question about it. They're watching. Guaranteed. Hey, Risa. Yeah, you're welcome. It's just, it's necessary. And thanks to everybody who's doing this. Randy Hillier is on that list, by the way. He's part of this. Where is his name? I saw, is it at the top? No, maybe not. But Randy Hillier is part of this. His name is attached to it. One of the author of this document, his name is Singer. Excuse me. I can't remember his first name, but I'm actually looking at having him on the show and having a discussion with him within the next day or two. So check that out. So yeah. So anyway, send people over there. ffcs.info/COVID-1984. And Rio, if you're still watching, can you put that on the ticker? So that's that for that. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just going to have a look in the chat here and see what's cooking, see if I'm missing anything. Healthy immune system keeps the Rona away. Absolutely, it does. Exercise, get fresh air, eat properly, take some vitamins, take vitamin D, take a good heavy dose of vitamin D, especially in the winter. And you know what? You're going to be fine. You're going to be good. Peter Griffin. Oh, look, he's talking about ammo. Imagine. What a surprise. Keep it up, Mark. Really appreciate it. Yeah, hey, Scott. Just doing what I can, my brother. Remember to donate to FCS if you can. Yes, Marilyn. Thank you. So let's talk about that. Not necessarily specifically donating, but so we are, of course, looking at a new campaign, a billboard campaign in Saskatchewan or in Saskatoon, a 4-week campaign, digital, and hope to run it 4 different locations throughout Saskatoon in 4 weeks. So when I first mentioned this, I had already talked to Pattison Outdoor, and I had only talked to my rep. My rep was quite happy and very happy that there was somebody putting out this message that opposes and challenges the government and media narrative, well overdue. So he was supportive. However, and here's the however, he sent it up the line because it is classified as an advocacy billboard, in which case it has to go through approval and a couple of different stages of approval. It didn't make it through approval. They didn't tell me, and they didn't tell him exactly what it was that they couldn't approve. It had, from what I understand, it didn't have anything to do with the messages that we were putting out necessarily, but when they went and looked at the website, that I guess concerned them, which again, I would like them to identify exactly what it is it concerned them about it. Most likely the anti-globalism theme, would be my guess. And so they denied it, and I asked specifically what was the reason for the denial. Like, what are they? Their community standards, not unlike YouTube or anyone else. They have their own community standards, and that they didn't want to promote anything that could cause harm or discrimination. And I of course I responded by saying, well, you do realize that your company is discriminating against me as we speak. So they're not even abiding by their own community standards. So anyway, long story short, it doesn't look like it's going to be through Pattison, but there are other options. I've reached out to other companies. I won't identify them yet. But we're hopeful that somebody will accept that we're going to do that. Now, failing that, we will carry on, and we will look for a landowner, farm owner that has property alongside the highway between Saskatoon and Regina, or Saskatoon and PA. And we already have a tractor trailer secured, we'll say, and we'll do it that way. So more than one way to skin a cat, but we're still going to try the sort of standard way and see if we can get some action. So we'll keep on. We'll keep trying. We'll do what we have to do. But yeah, and that's weird, Martin, because I always thought, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, but I always thought that Pattison was a libertarian. But I've come to find out that he's actually a liberal, not a libertarian. I'm not sure why I thought he was libertarian. Somebody might have just told me that, and I just took it for what it was. But yeah, it's the same company that Maxime Bernier ran the anti-mass immigration. Well, it wasn't Max that did it; it was somebody else that did it, but it had Max's face and the PPC all over it. That was up for a day and got taken down because the outrage mob complained. And of course they capitulated. So I guess after that, yeah, Jimmy Pattison. Yeah. I guess after that, they have changed their community standards and are putting up the big roadblock for us. So yeah, Jimmy Pattison's actually from Saskatchewan. He was born and raised in Saskatchewan. He actually dumped a whole bunch of money into the children's hospital here. So, the guy does good work, and he's a billionaire, whatever. He can do what he wants with his money, and his company can do what they want. But I don't know. If I was running a billboard company, a message company, an advertising company, I think I would be open to, making money and helping customers get their message out. There's laws that cover inciting violence or hate. Other than that, everything should be on the table, as far as I'm concerned. That would be my business model, but we don't live in those times anymore, do we? Let's see. Always on my glory hole, so watch out. Billboard's an awesome idea. I want to suggest that. I was going to suggest that could even help move trailers if you need semi. Yeah, so we'll see. I think we have options there right now, so we'll see if we're going to go that route. But we'll like I said, we'll try a little traditional first here, and if not, then we'll get creative and do other stuff. So, hey, Brian Everett, how you doing? Thanks for all of the ice creams and the lemons over in DLive, folks. Much appreciated. Mark, who is Juan O'Savin? Yeah, Squeaky Toys. Thanks for the diamond. Just another one of these prophets conspiracy factualists, conspiracy theorists. I don't know. I haven't watched 07 more than a couple of times. Just not for me, but you know, if I want to get that angle of things, I just go to Simon Parks. He seems like a fairly reasonable dude. He's got an interesting past with some alien stuff, but yeah, I'm not a huge follower of 07 or Savin or however he likes to be pronounced. Great to see Uganda's government stop big tech during their elections. Yep, absolutely. And the state of Idaho, I think it was Idaho, gave the big finger to Facebook and Twitter as well. So we need to see more of that. I'm surprised that Jimmy would bow down to the mob outrage. She was one of the only ones that refused to remove singers' ads through all the cancer culture ages. What do you think changed his stance on things? You know what? I'm not even sure at this point that Jimmy's pretty old, and I don't think he does a lot of hands-on work. I think it's completely out of his hands, to be honest with you. I think they have a committee, obviously somewhat woke and progressive, and I think these decisions are made without Jim even knowing it, to be honest. And I don't know. Conspiracy consultant. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. So Jimmy O'Savin, we'll call him a conspiracy consultant. And that's not to suggest that that's negative. Conspiracies happen every day around the world, especially with corrupt politicians. In fact, I don't think they exist without conspiracy and conspiring with others. It's so corrupt and so deep and swampy. Yeah, okay, real. Got it. Under my breath. Yeah. I haven't seen that, but I'll keep my eye open for it. Conspiracy Factualist says, I'm 100% red-blooded Canadian and I'll fight like it on all fronts. Very good. That's what we need. Yeah, conspiracy consultant. Yeah, it's really good. If it's called a conspiracy, chances are that it is true. Yeah, absolutely, Roger. Well, Roger, you know, I believe a man named Brock Lesnar has that property in Saskatchewan. Yeah, I don't know where though. I mean, I'll have to check into it. But if anybody knows a farmer or landowner that has property anywhere between Saskatoon and Regina or Saskatoon and PA, even outside Saskatoon on the way to North Battleford, if anybody knows anybody, send me a quick email over at info@ffcs.info. I would like to be in touch with them. That's the direction we'll most likely have to go in. And you know, again, if it's successful, then we're going to want to do it around the country. So I'm going to need a lot more people, knowing people that have property along major highways. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Politicians should get a complimentary ankle monitor. Mud flood, BS, no trees and BS are a topic make it look bad. I don't know. Lawrence D. Fink, CEO of BlackRock Hedge Fund and board members of the World Economic Forum, is running this takedown of the world. Fink runs the CIA and the CIA runs the American military personnel. Yeah, I heard about Fink. Yeah, well, I'm trying to remember what I read there a little while ago. I can't remember. Alberta will be the Alamo. So I did hear good news out of Alberta. I shared it earlier in the stream that, and I don't get too excited about this. Kean Bexty was quite excited, but I'm not sharing his level of excitement. But it is good to hear that at least we're hearing Kenny is going to lower some of the restrictions as far as gathering in public and some of the other measures. So it's a move in the right direction, and I'm not sure if it's connected to everything else, but I think we're going to see a lot of big things happening here in the next few days. Simon Parks is a strange guy. Yeah, he's got an interesting history, and I haven't read it, but I've heard other people talk about it. It has something to do with aliens or sex with aliens, or I don't know. But he has a pretty interesting upbringing and experience. So, like everything, you got to take things with a grain of salt and use your own mind and use your own ability to think critically and decide for yourself what's happening or what isn't. Yeah, Rebel put out a semi-trailer along the highway about fighting the fines. Yeah, they've done a lot of that stuff between Calgary and Edmonton. 20th supposed to wind all this down. Yeah, it should be interesting. Carrie, how you doing, Carrie? Good to see you. Mark, does the charter overrule the emergency acts as the provinces have brought in? So, as I understand, of course, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not giving any advice. However, the charter's very clear that our rights under the charter will not be abridged or limited, subject only to the government demonstrably proving that the measures and limits to those charter rights are appropriate and reasonable for the circumstance, which none of them have done. They have not proven that these measures are appropriate. Whatever it is, masks, they haven't proven. Lockdowns, they haven't proven it. Anything, and social distancing, they haven't proven. In fact, the World Health Organization just came out today and said that blah, 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 masks, blah, 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 healthcare workers in the community, masks, blah, blah, blah. However, there is no scientific evidence and unreliable studies or something that masks actually work. And so I posted that to Twitter earlier, and somebody said, well, you have to read the whole document, which I did. And no, I don't, because that's all I need to hear is that there are no scientific studies that prove masks are effective. So that's all I need to hear. I don't need to read the rest of the gobbledygook, even though I did. So in terms of the charter, all of these measures they're taking, they don't have a leg to stand on. They haven't proven it. And this is why every time somebody's getting close to court, the tickets are waived, the fines are waived, the summons waived, it's withdrawn, or it gets rescheduled or moved, because the government absolutely does not want to have to prove that these measures are in line with scientific evidence, because they don't have it. There's too much opposing evidence. There's too many arguments against this. They don't want it to go to court. They're hoping they'll establish enough fear of these fines that people won't show up to rallies, that people won't talk, that people won't stand up and grow the opposition to what they're doing. That's what's happening. It's all political bullshit and theater. So the scary part is, and that's why I'm happy to see Kenny doing what he's doing, because I think right now it's all about time, right? The politicians, to save their bacon, are hoping this thing ends one way or the other, because if it doesn't, they are going to be called out, and each one of them are finished politically. Every single one of them across the board should be finished already. They should never see the seat in a provincial government or a federal government anywhere again, based on everything we know. But now it's a timing thing. So I think they're hoping that this ends in the next little while, so that everyone will just sort of forget and say, very good, everyone's open, we're all happy, everyone's going to forget about the last year, let's carry on with our lives. I think they're hoping that happens. So they're playing this waiting game. They don't want these things going to court. They absolutely do not want them going to court, because they're going to lose, and they know it. And as soon as John Gormley says on his show in his interview with me that I will lose, as soon as he says that, I know he's 100% full of shit. He knows, they all know that they don't have the evidence. They don't have the science to back up what they're doing. This is all political, all of it. But the scary part is, this is the thing that people have to keep in mind, that our Constitution and our charter isn't worth the paper it's written on unless the people are actually defending it. And the reason I say it's not worth the paper it's written on, because each one of these premiers in every province can sign the notwithstanding clause, Section 33. Every one of them can make that declaration in their legislature, and that renders the charter and the Constitution moot, irrelevant. That's scary. That's really scary. Sometimes it's been used in defending the people of a particular province. Saskatchewan's used it, and the majority of the population was in favor. So, if it goes to court, if all these fines and tickets and lawsuits now against governments, if they go to court and these provinces are put into a position where they're losing because they don't have the evidence, they don't have the science, they'll lose public opinion, which is the only thing that's allowing them to do what they're doing right now, is they have that public opinion. They have the prevailing narrative, of course, supported by the media. But if they start losing these cases, they're going to really lose that public opinion. And then what they would or could consider is invoking Section 33, invoking the notwithstanding clause. And if they do that, then all bets are off. Then they do what they want. But at that point, they don't have public support. They don't have public opinion. They don't have the prevailing narrative, because it's been proven over here, over there, that they lost these court cases and that they don't have the justification to impose these things. So it's got to run its course. It's got to get into the courts, and they have to do it in legislature. They can't just, Scott Moe can't make a declaration in front of a microphone somewhere saying I'm invoking the notwithstanding clause. He has to make the declaration in the legislature with of course debate. And so that's a scary part of and that's why I say our Constitution, our charter, is only as good as the masses defending that legislation. So, but interesting. It's interesting. Pray for our nurses who are trying to blow the whistle on pure evil. Absolutely, 100%. Please, nurses, come together. It's really hard for whistleblower nurses, especially because their unions are so strong. It's the unions that are helping push the whole narrative of these hospitals being overrun. The unions have their agenda, and they're very strong. And it's really uncomfortable and shitty when the unions are in lockstep with the government, and then you're a nurse and you see what's happening and you want to speak out, but you're going against your union, your employer, and the government. That's a tough spot to be in. So any nurses that have the balls to come forward, kudos to you. You're awesome. You inspire the hell out of me, because that's a tough spot to be in. Wait till the doctors and nurses start dropping off from vaccines. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Rio. Thanks, buddy. What's the dates for court appearances? So, RB's is March 4th, and that was the no mask in the mall. My three are, I have two one in Regina, one in Saskatoon on the 23rd. But one of those I can actually plead not guilty on the back of the ticket and send it in, and they'll set a court date for a later date. So the other two are the 23rd and the 24th. I think the one in Regina I can plead not guilty and not have to. No, I think it's one in Saskatoon, the summons. So the one in Regina, I think I have to attend on the 23rd, and then there's one in Saskatoon on the 24th that I have to attend. There was only one of them. I think it was the summons that I can actually plead not guilty and have a court date scheduled. So yeah, hope that answers your question, I guess. Do you have the link to WHO mask info? Yeah. Let me have a look here. It's right on the WHO's website, actually, but I'll pull up the link. Excuse me. Let's see if I have it up. Yeah, there it is. Oh no, that's the old one. That's on PCR. One sec, I'll find it. Give me a sec here. I just got to scroll through my history. There it is. And well, there we go. Okay, so I'll put the link in the chat. And that's straight from the WHO. Now it's a lot of gobbledygook, and it's a lot of mask promotion nonsense. But I did find it interesting that I'll find the exact quote and tell you what page it's on, so you can find it easy. Guidance. So it's on page 8 at the top of the page. Guidance on mask use in community settings. Evidence on the protective effect of mask use in community settings. At present, there is only limited and inconsistent scientific evidence to support the effectiveness of masking of healthy people in the community to prevent infection with respiratory viruses, including SARS-CoV-2. That's it. That's all I needed to read. There's, however many pages in this PDF, 16 or something. Blah, blah, blah. That's all I needed to read. That's it. But whatever. I mean, everyone's more than welcome to read the whole thing. But that's a pretty important factor in all of this. And that's the World Health Organization, and we all know what they're about. Where did DLive go? Oh, there you are. I'll put it in that chat as well. There you go. In case anybody wants it. You guys, you're going to have to entertain yourselves for a second here. I got to go to the bathroom. My back teeth are floating. Give me 1 minute. All right. Sorry about that, guys, but you know what it's like. No more folks under the bridge. It is fully occupied. Just going through some comments here. Canada's government has been seized by the UN, who back in March, when declaring to put force transferring power to Geneva directly. Yeah, well, I think we can safely say that Canada has been under global governance since at least Trudeau was elected the first time, when he referred to us as the post-national state. Pretty much since then, we've been under global governance. So, is there a rainstorm in Sask? Is Mark taking a shit? Nope. I was. It's coffee, eh? I picked up a Tim's on our way back from having dinner, and that usually works pretty quick. Deliverance when Trudy's on stage. Yeah. COVID-19 is simulation to have those who control the UN power to test their systems and protocols to run over wealthy first world nations, people, while extorting other wealth in a pipeline of fraud. Yep. Silver Pegs Kid is music is coming through her heat register. I focus on commonalities. No, I'm not taking a dump. I'm right here. Hello. Anyways, guys, buckle up. I think we're gonna see a lot coming down here in the next couple of days. It's gonna get very, very interesting leading up to inauguration. A couple of things that I can't explain or wrap my head around is why they need 15,000 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. for an inauguration that is apparently happening virtually, from what I understand. That's questionable. Where's Hollywood? Where's Hollywood been? They've been remarkably silent since the 3rd of November. You would think. Now, of course, there's some time that went by and they had to do a few things and whatever, but you would think that Hollywood would be jumping and dancing in the streets, at least after the 6th, right? At least after that they would have been carrying on, and they're remarkably quiet and silent. So it could be a very simple explanation that they're like the rest of us and they're waiting to see what happens. Tom Hanks has put out a thing that they're going to have some sort of commie party the night of or the night after or something. So I think, maybe they just things don't age well in these times if people make certain declarations that don't happen. So maybe they're just keeping their mouth shut, or maybe there's something bigger at play and they're just a little nervous these days. Who knows? If I were them, I would be nervous. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think big things are going to happen. I can't see how, as I said at the beginning, I can't see how, with everything that we know and the consequence to Biden being president, China Joe committed to the Chinese communists, the consequences are too great. With everything that we know, with everything that's happened, with everything Trump has said, with everything that his team has told us and people outside his team, everything that's happened, all of the election fraud, Obamagate, all the stuff, all of it. I can't imagine, and again, I'll say it again, I would be far more shocked if he didn't pull the trigger on something. And I use that term figuratively, than him just backing out. And as we've seen tonight, it doesn't look like he's going to just back out quietly. We'll see where it goes, but keep your stick on the ice and be aware, stay on top of what's happening. And regardless of what happens, we have a hell of a fight in front of us right here in our own country, regardless of what happens. Trump hasn't saved us yet in terms of what's been happening in Canada. Now, from a globalist perspective, Trump is the tip of the spear against globalism, but it hasn't helped us in Canada a whole lot. It'll get a whole lot worse if Biden's in there. Rest assured. But we have our own fight right here in Canada, and so even myself, I have to remind myself of that. But this is what's happening in the States is so big and has so many repercussions for us and around the world that's where a lot of my focus has been, obviously, in at least the last couple of weeks. And I'll be happy when it's over. But yeah, we got a huge fight right here that we have to take and be part of and stand up with our fellow patriots. And I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful. You can hide the truth only for so long. And the people are going to get it, and they're going to wake up. I think that's why Kenny's made the decision he just made today. I think they're starting to get it. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, that's it for tonight, folks. Just checking. Oh, yeah. So now that I'm looking at DLive, I got to do my chest. There's a 12.7. Hang on. Let's see if we can sweeten that up a little bit. Let's see if we can sweeten that up a little bit. All right. So now we have 513 lemons. Let's open up that chest and distribute some of these lemons. There we go. See, I'm catching on to this lemon thing a little bit. So there you go. We'll see who gets what. Yes, we'll see you Saturday. Oh, thank you, Tamara, for reminding me. God, I can't believe it. Yes, Saturday in Moose Jaw. And I'll be talking about this again tomorrow night. But yes, big rally, Saskatchewan wide in Moose Jaw on Saturday, 2 p.m., 530 Wood Lily Road. And we had a poster done up, but it was kind of interesting. I have a guy that does the graphics for these posters, and fantastic patriot, good guy. But the last poster he made, he must have grabbed a photo that was taken by Winnipeg Journal or Winnipeg Free Press or whatever it was. I can't remember. They emailed me and they had saw our poster and had said that was their copyright, their property, and would appreciate if we didn't use it. So I obliged and said, yeah, no problem. So we had to create another one. But it should be out there floating around. So anyways, we're looking for a big turnout. We need a big turnout in Moose Jaw. I think we will have a good turnout, judging by the phone calls I'm getting from a bunch of different people from around that area, at least southwest Saskatchewan. It sounds pretty good. I think we're going to have a good turnout. Thanks again, Tamara, for reminding me. That was on my agenda, but so yeah, be there. If you can be there, please be there. It's important that we show big numbers. It's important. It's all part of the process. and it's necessary. We got to have numbers to get more people on board, to wake more people up, to get more people paying attention and asking some questions. And again, the only two things we're there for is that demand that the government honor and respect the Constitution, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And number two, related to number one, is open the debate, open the discussion, have public debate, transparent public discussion and dialogue. Let's get all the information on the table so people in Saskatchewan are aware of what's going on, and we can make the decision of what we're going to do moving forward. So that's it. Very simple. That's why our rallies exist, and it's to do with our freedom. And we have to defend it and exercise it. It'll die if we don't exercise our freedoms. It'll be gone, never to return. Well, you can never say never, but this is it, folks. We have to stand up. We have to take control, and we have to send a strong message, and we have to do that. Send that message to the people of Saskatchewan, because they're the people that matter. They're the people with the power. And this is part of that process. So come and join us, 2:00 Saturday in Moose Jaw, 530 Wood Lily Drive. We'll see you there. Lemons, Old Dog, 62, got 119 lemons. Squeaky Toys got 68.9. Diana Green got 50.1. Cowboy 57 got 40. And Silver Peg 74, 33.6. Enjoy your lemons. And thanks to everybody who donated. Much appreciated. Good night. You guys have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow night. I'll have our regular discussion with Salim, and I'll probably go on maybe before that to give an update on what's been going on, because I'm sure lots will have happened between now and then. That's that. All right. Ciao for now, guys. And remember, globalism bad, nationalism good. Ciao for now.